brought to you by Moley Automotive, KSN Television, and Via Christi Hospital. Now, let's go live to Chatters with the voice of the Gorillas, Eddie Longshad.
And good Monday evening, Pitt State football fans. Welcome indeed live to Chatters Restaurant and Bar in Pittsburgh. Eddie Longshad, head football coach Tim Beck. The Gorillas, #1 in the country, 2-0 after a 34-19 win over Central Oklahoma in the home opener. And what a beautiful day, a Hall of Fame banquet, and great weather after all that severe stuff blew through on Friday. And 2-0 is nice, one thing, Coach, but what an atmosphere. 10,754, second largest in school history. What a setting for college football.
It was absolutely awesome setting, and the walkover kind of got us started, and it was a little hard to get there. We have to allow for some more time to get over from the weed to the stadium, though. It was unbelievable evening. Fans were awesome, and it was very electric at the beginning of the game, and that was really cool for our players to be able to play in that. Starting
in your first year as head coach, you've brought this back where former Lettermen are leading the walkover in the home opener. How's that? I'm sure the former Lettermen love it. What kind of mingling do you see with your current players?
There was some pretty aggressive mingling at the weed doors right there. It took a little while to get through there, and a lot of chest bumps, and I think Jeremy Moss was ready to play. You know, he was cranked up and ready to go, and that's a neat thing. And we've got to continue to build that, and we want our Lettermen to understand that that's a great time for them to come back every year for the opening game and lead us over, and hopefully that'll continue to grow.
Some of those guys look like they could still play?
Absolutely. There's a few of them we'd pick out there and let them run down on kickoff team.
Opening kickoff, and then maybe once, and then we'll see, get the O2 or whatever they might need. Awesome early, sell out and the giant American flag and all of that. As a coach, do you ever worry that emotion can affect your focus on assignments?
No, there's no doubt. We talked about during the week how it's somewhat of a spectacle, where there's so many things going on and so many people in the parking lot, and we've got new uniforms and new helmets and all these other things, and we talked about how it's our responsibility as a football team to make sure that we focus on what we're supposed to do, and that's play extremely hard and play extremely fast, and we started out that way, and we just didn't finish that way, unfortunately. But boy, it started off really good for us, and we were good early. We just weren't very good offensively in the third quarter.
The new stadium with the red borders and the black turf, and when you see it full like that, how do you think that's been received?
Well, I think it's been received very well. I think a lot of people were skeptical early on, probably including you. I don't know.
No, I'm open-minded.
But there was, a lot of people were skeptical about having black end zones. But I think after they've seen the red letters trimmed, in yellow and how it looks, I think everybody's very excited because it really looks sharp.
And the new goalposts look good. And the black helmets, were your players excited about rolling out something new there?
They were, and it would have been really cool to not let anybody know and just break them out on game day. But, our concern was, we've got a new helmet rule. Your helmet comes off, you're out of the game. So we actually wore them starting last Sunday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. We wore them a few days, and then Scott Broyles and Tim Pierce put the stickers on for us on Thursday night. So they, sharpened them up even more. But yeah, our players loved it, and something we won't wear every week, but we'll, wear a couple, 2-3 times a year maybe.
Be like Oregon, changing uniforms every week?
Well,
somebody wants to do that.
There's a lot of recruits that think that's pretty cool. So.
You had a lot of kids there, and I know volleyball did, baseball, softball, basketball, all had recruits on campus. Paint the Town Red Week, leading into that home opener. What's that got to be like for a high school kid?
Well, they a lot of them were in awe, I think, to see that, and all the people that participated in the Paint the Town Red and all the people that do work on that, they need to be commended because that's a really neat deal. As you drive into town from any direction, it shows the support that our community has, and it shows how important the university is to the community, and it shows that they're football fans, and so that's a neat thing for any recruit to drive into the city of Pittsburgh and see all the red and gold all over.
Hall of Fame banquet started at 9 that morning. Did you get a look at the parking lot and see what it was like before that?
Yeah, I took a drive through there, and I'm not so sure some of those same guys weren't some of them involved in the brawl later, but hopefully we can get that cleaned up a little bit. But that's the problem with night games. It may be just a little bit too long a day for some of them.
Are you amazed, and you've been at Pitt State since the mid-'80s, are you amazed what game day has grown into?
Absolutely. I can remember being here in '85, how the field was, and our press box had been hit by lightning, and it wasn't very functionable, and the light poles were inside the stadium, and I can still remember, those days where you watching film, and every once in a while you'd miss a piece of the video because it went behind the light pole, and so from where we were at back in the mid-'80s to where we're at now, it's a significant difference, and for the better.
What a great setting, and it turned out to be an okay night, 34-19, and still plenty to work on. We'll go through that and more. We'll step aside, take our first break. Back live to Chatters Restaurant and Bar with Pitt State head football coach Tim Beck right after this.
Here's the snap. Chevy runs deep. And the pass. Holy moly. Chevy Silverado with a big catch.
Chevy Cruz blocking the competition. And look at Silverado go.
Chevy outperforming everyone.
Chevy at the 10, the 5, touchdown. Moley Automotive.
Moley Chevrolet GMC of Pittsburgh wins the game. And all fans get up to $8,000 off all remaining 2012s in stock.
Moley Chevy GMC of Pittsburgh, your four-state Chevy Buick GMC dealer. Proud supporter of Pitt State Gorilla Football.
Moley Automotive. Best price always.
Gorilla fans, for the best Pittsburgh State football coverage, tune it to KSN 16, your hometown sports. I'm Eric Kinnett. We'll have those highlights after every Pitt State game, and during the week, we'll have the latest news and preview the next opponent. And don't forget about the Tim Beck television show every Sunday night on KSN after the evening news. So if you love Pitt State football, check us out. KSN 16, your hometown sports with Eric Kinnett.
Because your life matters, Via Christi Heart Center in Pittsburgh has made major investments to install the latest heart imaging technology, which can mean faster diagnosis and more effective treatment for a variety of heart-related conditions. Because we understand that when we're taking care of your heart, nothing is more important. Via Christi Heart Center, because your life matters.
There's a snap, turn, right side, Wilson, cut back. First down up the middle at the 10, the 5, touchdown! Bryson Wilson, he hurdled a defender into the end zone for 6 points.
860 AM, KKOW.
Welcome back live to Chatters Restaurant and Bar in Pittsburgh and the Coach Tim Beck Show. Eddie Lomshek along with PSU head coach, and one of the good plays the other night for Pitt State, a touchdown run by Bryson Wilson. That was kind of late in the first half. We'll get to that eventually. But, Coach, good start. You always win the opening toss, and it looks like as a general rule of thumb, you win that, you want to defer.
Yeah, we do, unless it's 30, 40 mile an hour wind, then we may change our mind a little bit. But we'd like to, we'd like to be able to kick off and pin them and have our defense stop them, force a punt, and take it offensively and go down and score. And we were able to do that the other night, and then you kind of feel good about having 7 points on the board, and then know that the fact that you're going to get the ball first part of the second half.
You end up do force a 3 and out, and that was kind of the theme of the first quarter. You look at 3 of their 4 drives start at their own 12, their own 25, their own 25. You had touchbacks in there and whatnot, but boy, when you get a team inside their own 30, how important is it to not give up a first down?
Well, you can look at the stats and see, from your own 20-yard line, what your chances are of putting points on the board, and it's not very good. And then obviously it gets better as you get out. But Connor Frizzell had some tremendous kickoffs. Not only were they in the end zone, but they had some height on them. Yeah. They had an opportunity for our guys to get down the field. And first couple, the first one he tries to bring out, and we pin him down in there. So good job by our kickoff coverage, and that's just so important. People don't realize just how important that is. Later in the game, we end up kicking it out of bounds. They get great field position, then they score that drive.
Yeah, that 15 yards or 10 yards even is huge. That opening kick that they try and bring out and they get to their own 12, and we talked about with John Brown, he's as talented as anyone, but what a difference it seems to make if a guy's even 3 yards deep, if his momentum's not coming forward.
Yeah, it does make a difference. It's all about the amount of time that it takes, and we talked to John. I mean, he wants to bring them all out as well, and so we're going to have that scenario come up several times, and it's hard to, with somebody that talented, it's hard to not let them come out. It just depends on if they're having to go backwards to catch it, like you said. Then if they're 5-6 yards deep, then they need to kneel on it. If they can get back on it, set on it, and maybe just be moving forward when they catch it, then John Brown probably needs to bring it out.
Yeah.
You know? So it just depends on the individual, depends on it. And for our kickoff return team, we got to do a lot better job of blocking for him. But it's all part of it.
For Central Oak early, they run a number of things. The back, Birmingham's a good player. Their quarterback's a big athletic kid. So you see some of that zone read looking stuff. And they would tell you he probably didn't throw the ball as well early as they would hope. But talk about defending their running game when it's a shotgun and a single back most of the time.
Well, the good thing for our defense is they see a lot of that in fall camp and spring ball, and they get to where they do a pretty darn good job of defending the zone read play. And it's a little bit easier for us as well if they line up in a offset back. If they do it out of the pistol, things are a little bit different. But again, our defense sees a bunch of it against us, and when you see a lot of that, that makes a difference. For example, this week, we're going to go against Southwest Baptist, and we're finally going to see a defense that's similar to ours. Well, we've gone against that a lot in preseason and in the spring, so it definitely helps, and it gets just gets you back in your comfort level.
Well, you get the 3 and out. They kick the ball away from John, the roll out, and they'd shift their punt team every time and kicking it low, letting it hop, and with John back there. Does there come a point you consider putting another guy back there to cut down on that roll?
Well, you consider it, but there's so many things that go into the punt team now. That's the thing. We prepared for 2 different things that they'd done the week before, and we didn't see one thing in the punt team that was the same as the week before, and that makes it tough to prepare for.
Yeah.
So you have to be really smart and really have your kids on their toes so they understand who the eligibles are in case they fake it and all those type of things. So there's always a consideration to do that. The thing we have to do a better job of, we got to do a lot better job on the gunners. The gunners are the guys that get down the field, the wide guys that get down the field the fastest, and we've got to just buy him some time. Now, their punter did a tremendous job of, even because he made some tremendous punts even from the right hash, which what they were doing, rolling to the right and punting, it's extremely hard to keep it in bounds when you do that. So you have to commend him on doing that. But he had several of them that rolled down their ways and then went out of bounds, which was probably in their best interest.
Yeah, we've seen it work the other way too, where teams try and kick away from John and they shank it and you get great field position. But you do end up going right down the field. Nice methodical drive, 7 plays, 62 yards, almost 3 minutes. You end up with a touchdown to Bradley Arterbright. And the previous play, it was a snap and Anthony wasn't looking for it, and it backs you up to the 12-yard line. The remark I made on the broadcast was it gives you a little more real estate. Talk about your play call on 3rd and goal from the 12 as opposed to the 2 or 3.
Well, you're exactly right. I mean, we on 2nd down there, Aaron, we had a couple of plays packaged together, and Aaron he heard something and thought we were going on cadence, and so it was, Anthony was not looking, and it's unexpected, and luckily we got it covered up. But yeah, when you get down there, that's the thing that happens. You see teams that do throw the ball a lot, the closer they get, the harder they have a hard time getting it in the end zone. But it actually kind of spreads them out a little bit where we were at, and it probably worked out just fine. And Bradley Arterbright was able to get his first touchdown of his career.
Don't need to dummy it down for Aaron there too.
No. He's plenty sharp enough. It's just a mistake.
It looked like just a seam route, and Bradley slips in there. Here's a kid that came here. He's played some basketball too. Red shirt, very good athlete out of Opie. I know you and his dad go back a few years, but a solid possession receiver that is athletic. How can he help you in his career?
Well, he's going to help a lot. When we go to 4 wide receivers, he goes in right away, and him and Luke Rampy kind of play the same position. So it's nice to have 2 guys there that can really do some nice things. And he's just now understanding the offense, really like it needs to be understood, and he'll continue to grow and get better and better. And again, we've got 6 or 7 receivers, and he's definitely one of them right in the mix that we feel like a guy that we can get the ball to.
And nothing better than a kid from Opie, Kansas on your roster, right?
Well, they're okay. They're kind of like the Colgan kids. They're pretty good kids.
Opie's great tradition, and Arterbright's a good player. And so Pitt State up 7-0, get the ball to Central Oak. They get the touchback, 3 and out, another rolling punt. Even with that, you have great field position. You're at their 47. You end up turning it over on downs. Talk about the 4th down play there. It was a keeper by Abinoa.
Yeah, Anthony would like to have that play over. Again, we kind of making a decision on whether we were going to go ahead and punt the ball. We were on about the 37, 38-yard line, something like that. And we had a couple choices, and when when you watch it on video, you're like, oh my gosh, he just kind of needs to take it a little wider. If he takes it a little wider where it was, and there was a little bit of penetration, he kind of panicked and tried to get it vertical is what happened, and then came up short. But if he takes it to the edge, he gets the first down real easy, and then we continue the drive.
Well, Central gets a stop. They get it in great field position at their own 40, but 3 and out. And this one rolls a while. You get pinned at your own 20, but you end up with a 50-yard run by John, or 50-plus big play on the reverse. So you had one run there, and your ability to run the ball has to set that up.
It does, and how they pursue the ball, and they were running the ball pretty good. You have to always pay attention to safeties, how the safeties are playing on whether or not you think you can run a reverse, and you don't want to get a smoker off the backside because you can get somebody hurt if that happens. But boy, John looked fast on the reverse, and it's another one of those. He was so fast that he outran our blockers. You know, they got a good head start on him, but he got to the point where he's turning it on. He's running past everybody, including our blockers. So we have to maybe modify it just a little bit, but it was fun to watch him.
You end up, and that was a play, wasn't it, last year in Florence? That you did that early, and their safety made a play, but that big pass to Castaneda, you go back to that.
Right.
You look at that tendency, so it sets up that pass to the middle.
Absolutely. That's exactly right. And if the safeties get to run too hard on our sweeps and reverses and stuff like that, then they're susceptible to play action pass.
You have to settle for a field goal. Connor Frizzell hits from 28. He would add another one later in the game, so he has not missed an extra point. He's missed one field goal, but 4 for 5 on the year, and continues to be good. You mentioned his kickoff, so he's been a nice addition.
Absolutely. You know, he had the one kickoff out of bounds, but other than that, just doing a really good job. When he can take a good full swing at it, he's been awesome on kickoffs, which is really nice, and it was a nice surprise for us. And he's been good on field goals except for the one, and the extra points are awfully important. So we're happy that he's having a good season.
Well, in the first quarter, up 10-0, it would eventually grow. Central Oak, again from their own 25, 3 and out. There was a block in the back on the return that negated some field position. So there you are at the 34. This time, one of the big plays in there was a 37-yard gain from Anthony to John Brown, and established field position. How much as a coach you want to get the ball in John's hands, and how many times do you just say, you know what, let's just throw it down there, and he might make a play on it? Well,
there's a lot that goes into it. Coach Rampy and Coach Philpott spend a lot of time looking at everything, and the thing that's important that people need to understand too, he becomes a very valuable decoy at times too. And when he can stretch the field like he can, the last guy that we had that stretched the field like that's Jermaine Carpenter. And when he can stretch the field and really pull safeties out, it really makes some other things available. And so, there are times where you just want to say, let's try to get the ball in John's hands, but it really opens up some other things for us from other people. And that's why I think the first game you saw us have 9 different people that caught the ball, and had another pretty good size group this week.
Just over half the yards on that drive on that play. It ends with a touchdown run by Anthony, and first of his career, first of 2 that night. So run the option. Was it running the option a little more by design in this game?
Well, we wanted to. On that particular play, we caught them in a blitz, and they were blitzing to the field, and we ran the G option play back into the boundary. It's an option play, but it's really just a quarterback carry, and Seabold goes through, and the linebacker's gone, so he's able to climb to the safety, and Anthony makes a nice run into the end zone. But we ran the zone read and play more, and I think we'll continue to do that more and more. It's a big part of our offense, and there are going to be people that don't want Anthony throwing it, so they're going to force him to run it, and they don't want us just to hand it either. So it's people play it different week to week, so you just have to go into the game and see how they do it, and then start making adjustments from there.
Yeah, it's a never-ending chess match, that's for sure. So a 17-0 lead at that point early in the second quarter, and things look pretty good. We'll take another break. When we come back, Central Oak would have an answer. They wouldn't go away in this game, and testing the Gorillas. So we'll get into that and more with Coach Beck when we come back to Chatters right after this.
Because your life matters, Via Christi Heart Center in Pittsburgh has made major investments to install the latest heart imaging technology, which can mean faster diagnosis and more effective treatment for a variety of heart-related conditions. Because we understand that when we're taking care of your heart, nothing is more important. Via Christi Heart Center, because your life matters.
Here's the snap. Chevy runs deep, and the pass. Holy moly! Chevy Silverado with a big catch.
Chevy Cruz blocking the competition, and look at Silverado go.
Chevy outperforming everyone.
Chevy at the 10, the 5, touchdown, Moley Automotive.
Moley Chevrolet GMC of Pittsburgh wins the game, and all fans get up to $8,000 off all remaining 2012s in stock.
Moley Chevy GMC of Pittsburgh, your four-state Chevy Buick GMC dealer. Proud supporter of Pitt State Gorilla Football.
Moley Automotive, best price always.
Gorilla fans, for the best Pittsburgh State football coverage, tune it to KSN 16, your hometown sports. I'm Eric Kinnett. We'll have those highlights after every Pitt State game, and during the week, we'll have the latest news and preview the next opponent. And don't forget about the Tim Beck television show every Sunday night on KSN after the evening news. So if you love Pitt State football, check us out. KSN 16, your hometown sports with Eric Kinnett.
Snap to Nelson, looking right all the way. Now throws middle, picked off, intercepted by Keyston Terry. Near side return at the 20, hit from behind, wrapped up by Morrell, the receiver, and down he goes. The Gorilla D tested, bending, but they would not break. And Terry, the KU transfer, has his first career interception in red and gold. And it's a
860 AM, KKOW.
Welcome back live to Chatter's Restaurant and Bar in Pittsburgh. Eddie Lomchek on the Coach Tim Beck Show, and we have these giveaways here, and somebody put one in there blank. I guess we keep this one, Coach, and we'll split the $25. This is courtesy of Ahmad and the staff here. This one for Fat Daddies, $25. Dine-in only, includes drinks, expires at the end of the calendar year. No cash value. Dave Noyes, come on down. So we have all these loyal fans, and make sure they get the right one there. So congratulations. Enjoy that at Fat Daddy's. Also out of this break on the show, have the Gorilla Alerts Weekly Trivia Contest, courtesy of Vital Signs. And you can be a part of Gorilla Alerts to get scoring updates and player of the game voting and trivia contests throughout the school year. Go to PittStateGorillas.com, click on the Gorilla Alerts button, and you'll get this multiple choice trivia contest texted to you each week. And then you send in the answer, and if you're correct, you'll win a prize courtesy of that. And tonight's question that went out to Gorilla Alert members, a Pitt State quarterback set the school record for most total yards in a single game against Southwest Baptist. Named that quarterback. It was 430 yards. Was it Zach Dickey, Brian Hutchins, Andy Majors, or Neil Philpott? Might have been all of the above, except I know Zach didn't play them. And the answer was Andy Majors, 430 total yards, October 15th of 05, 70-38 at Bolivar. That was the single longest broadcast I'd ever been a part of. 358 on the ground, or in the air, 72 on the ground. And the winner was Julie Haggard, a Fort Scott native living in Houston, Texas. Congratulations to her, and she'll win a couple of tickets to the Family Day game against Lincoln, courtesy of Vital Signs and Pitt State Athletics. So go to PittStateGorillas.com, click on the Gorilla Alerts button, be a part of that texting service for updates, trivia contest, player of the game voting, and much, much more. You remember that game?
Yes, I do.
You remember Andy Majors?
I remember Andy Majors, and he was pretty good. He could run it and throw it pretty good.
Andy will be in town late in the month for a basketball coaches clinic. He's coming to talk about his post drills, I think, for his Stephen F. Austin girls down there. Coach Lord's bringing him back to speak at a clinic, so it'll be good to see Mage again. 17-0, and we've talked a lot over the years about, as a coach, you guard against certain things if you get down. You also guard against certain things if you get up. I guess credit Central Oak to an extent because they kept coming, but up 17-0, that's where you'd like to see your team turn it on and put them away.
Yeah, there's no doubt. And, even at 17-0, and then we also had the chance right before the half to go 31-7, which I think would have made a significant difference. But, up 17-0, and you really want to get to where you're going to pour it on, and you just, I think everybody had the same feeling. We just felt like we were going to get to really rolling. And when I say that, you look back and you still had over 500 yards of offense, but we just never did get it clicking, and especially in the third quarter. So just not as consistent as we want to be on both sides.
Yeah, there were big plays, and coincidentally, that's where you mentioned earlier, the ensuing kickoff goes out of bounds. They get it at the 35, and on the first play, Birmingham goes 60. You talked about him and knew him back to his high school days that, he's a combination of speed and power. He's 5'9", but 195, yet he can be a burner, and he ends up going 60. They run that zone stuff and obviously found a crease, but fortunately
I guess, caught him, and they score in the end. But he's a nice back.
He really is. You know, last year he had 50 catches out of the backfield and played on a team that didn't win very many games. And he's very dangerous. And good thing is we don't see a back like that every week. But he is a really good football player. And they kind of got him in position where we almost had to kick to him a couple of times too. And he ended up kneeling on a couple. But he can make you nervous. And I'm glad we're through that game and don't have to play him again.
And then their quarterback, you know, listed at 6'4", 230, Adrian Nelson, obviously an athletic guy, a cannon for an arm, maybe not real refined as a pocket quarterback, but when you're dealing with a guy, those physical dimensions, and he's going to run it some, what are the keys to containing him?
Well, it's awfully important for everybody to contain him, you know, whether it be ends or linebackers or D tackles on twists or whatever the case may be. Everybody has to play assignment football and keep him in the pocket, and you don't want him out on the edge running around and making decisions after that. So, you know, for the most part, we did some nice things with him, but you could see his athleticism, and you could see where, as a coaching staff, we were a little concerned going in because there's a chance a guy like that can catch fire and get on a roll, and he could be very dangerous.
Yeah, I thought he threw it second half a lot better than he did first half. You end up trading punts. 4 consecutive possessions ended in punts. One of those, and the first time of 2 in the game, you have Andrew Castaneda punt. Talk about that formation.
Yeah, that's another set that we will do. It's very similar to what their punter was doing, where we rugby-style kick it, and got some options off of it that we can do. And, you know, it's just our version of keeping people off balance. We've got our regular punt team, and we've got the punt team with Andrew in the game, and on that particular unit, John Brown also happens to be in the game of that, and you saw John Brown make a nice tackle on it too.
Yeah, and you know, one of those times you were pinned at your own 6. You get a first down. You know, we talked about holding a team when you're in the 20. When you're inside the 20, and you say this all the time, Coach Broyles used to, it's not a crime to punt the football, but how important is it to get 1 or 2 first downs to get a little field position?
Well, you got to get a couple first downs. You know, get anything just to get some room. You do not like kicking it out of your own end zone, and you know, I think it's as much a mental thing to punters that it is anything. But you know, you got to get out of the end zone. You got to get out of that area, and so it's extremely important to get a couple first downs and get yourself some room, and it makes you breathe a little bit easier.
After 4 consecutive punts, you're at your own 25, and ended up starting a nice drive. Second first down of that drive was a 45-yard catch by John Brown. He gets behind coverage. Anthony just airs it out. I mean, it was a beautiful throw and catch, and looked like their D-back might have a shot, but it just seems like if that ball keeps going, John finds a way to get under it.
Yeah, he had great concentration on that play because the defensive back was in fairly good position. Just kind of got barely over the top of him, and once again, he's got great hands and great speed, and it's a very nice play by both of them.
How much do you practice things where you try and distract your receivers to work on that concentration?
Oh, you know, we do like just all the receivers do since you're in junior high school. We have the old blur drill where you distract them when you throw in between people and have people try to, you know, act like they're going to knock it down and those type of things. And he's not bad in drills either, by the way.
Yeah.
So
practice like you play.
That's right.
And he's good at it. You get a touchdown. We heard the play earlier. Bryson Wilson ended up having a good night for you, and on that run showed some shiftiness and then the agility to hurdle a defender. And for a big guy, that's a pretty athletic play.
Well, you know, at 230 pounds plus probably, he had to make a decision. It was a quick decision. It was a nice block play, run the power play, and it's either you're going to juke him and make him miss, or you're going to run over him or over the top of him. He chose to go over the top.
He's a guy that can obviously take a toll on defenses with those dimensions. At times, though, you see some very good cutbacks within the tackles. How do you rate his shiftiness and good hips and those things?
Well, I think there's things he can get better at, I think, and he understands that. But just understanding what we're getting done up front and the blocking schemes, you know, if we can get him through the initial line of scrimmage and get him going, then he becomes, you know, pretty tough to handle. But at times, and again, you know, he makes some very good cuts at times for a 230-pound back. You don't see a lot of them make some of the cuts he makes. So he's continuing to improve. I think it was good that, you know, he had 9 carries and had 100-plus yards, and you know, he'll continue to get more carries as we go.
And how hard has he had to work in his time at Pitt State, a converted linebacker, and after taking some time off football, to get in shape and stay in shape?
Well, no question. That's been a tough thing, and he's had to work extremely hard at it. And he's a much improved player from when he got here. I mean, he's a lot stronger than he was, and I feel like he's improved himself every year.
Bryson Wilson, a good game indeed, and gives you that chance to control a game. Central Oak has a nice drive going in the final 4 minutes. It ends up on a pick by Keyston Terry. We talked about him last week a little bit, that, you can still see some uncertainty probably, but I'm sure you feel that as he becomes more comfortable in the system and his athletic ability takes over, I mean, he can be an impact guy in the future.
Yeah, I really think he can be. I think we're going to see it sooner than later, too. I think he's got to get more comfortable as we go, and boy, he's a really nice, fluid athlete. I was hoping that when he made the interception, he'd get loose a little bit and let us see his receiver skills, because he can run with the ball now. So, he becomes another one back there that's kind of a long, rangy guy, along with Jason Pete, and they can cover some territory. Yeah,
he was highly recruited receiver out of Blue Springs, and I think he was thrilled that he's not at KU anymore after they lost to Rice, and so he's celebrating, and they're not. You get the 2-minute drill going, 1:23 to go. You're at your own 23, all 3 timeouts. It ends in the interception there, as you mentioned, boy, 24-7, 31-7, a big difference, and getting the ball to begin the second half. And you were trying to call timeout. Was there just people on different pages on that last play?
Yeah, we were rushed a little bit. Here's what happens sometimes too: is when you clock it, which we probably shouldn't have clocked it at the time. We have a couple things that we should have ran right away that we could have, or even taken a timeout then. But you clock it, you relax a little bit. And now you've got, and now we started getting down on time again. We're up there. You do not want to take time out after you've clocked it, unless you're just out of sorts. And we were a little bit out of sorts. We had a couple plays called, and not everybody on the same page. And so I was trying to get down there to call timeout, but couldn't get the officials' attention. So I guess I'll have to go down farther next time.
Get flagged for getting out of the team area.
Yeah.
The pick, it looked like Castaneda was just running off a defender, and Anthony throws it to the front corner of the end zone. How dangerous can that be, throwing across the field to the end zone, down on the goal line?
Well, it was very dangerous. In fact, the guy that caught it was pretty fast, too, and Bryson knocked him out of bounds, and Anthony's got a good angle on him, but, it wasn't very far from being 99 yards the other direction. So it's you got to be careful in that situation.
24-7 at the break. What was your message to your team in the locker room?
Just that we felt like that we left a lot of points out there, and we had to give up one big play. And Coach Wiemers gets frustrated. It's like we just have to. It's feel like we have to give up one big play a half or whatever. So we were frustrated a little bit as coaches, because we felt like, again, that we really needed to get rolling, and we didn't at the end of the half, and it kind of leaves a bad taste in your mouth when you throw that interception there late. So our message at the half was, let's go out and win the second half. Let's don't worry about what's happened, and let's see what kind of character we have. Let's see what kind of intensity we can bring. And so, I felt like we had a good talk at halftime, but on the other hand, offensively, we just didn't get off to a good start in the third quarter.
Yeah, there were not a lot of highlights in that third quarter. We'll take another break and back through it, but it was a rugged third quarter to say the least. But in the end, enough for the Gorillas. We'll return to Chatters. Back with more. Pitt State head football coach Tim Beck right after this.
Gorilla fans, for the best Pittsburgh State football coverage, tune it to KSN 16, your hometown sports. I'm Eric Kinnett. We'll have those highlights after every Pitt State game, and during the week, we'll have the latest news and preview the next opponent. And don't forget about the Tim Beck television show every Sunday night on KSN after the evening news. So if you love Pitt State football, check us out. KSN 16, your hometown sports with Eric Kinnett.
Because your life matters, Via Christi Heart Center in Pittsburgh has made major investments to install the latest heart imaging technology, which can mean faster diagnosis and more effective treatment for a variety of heart-related conditions. Because we understand that when we're taking care of your heart, nothing is more important. Via Christi Heart Center, because your life matters.
Here's the snap. Chevy runs deep. And the pass. Holy moly. Chevy Silverado with a big catch.
Chevy Cruz blocking the competition. And look at Silverado go.
Chevy outperforming everyone.
Chevy at the 10, the 5, touchdown. Moley Automotive.
Moley Chevrolet GMC of Pittsburgh wins the game. And all fans get up to $8,000 off all remaining 2012s in stock.
Moley Chevy GMC of Pittsburgh, your four-state Chevy Buick GMC dealer. Proud supporter of Pitt State Gorilla football.
Moley Automotive. Best price always.
There's a snap, and option look inside. Avanoa will pull it, fake the pitch, cut up field at the 10, at the 5, touchdown Gorillas. Anthony Avanoa. You talk about a beautiful slow play on the option game. His second touchdown run of the night.
860 AM, KKOW.
Welcome back live to Chatter's Restaurant and Bar. Eddie Lomshak on the Coach Tim Beck Show, and we'll do another drawing here for a $25 gift certificate to Fat Daddy's, courtesy of Ahmad and his staff. Expires at the end of the calendar year. Dine-in only, includes drinks. The winner's Eddie Lomshak. How about that? So, no, Eric Groom, come on down, Eric. And Eric Groom's a good supporter there. Thanks for being here, and enjoy that, courtesy of Ahmad and the gang. I guess we're ineligible to win, but we'll trade it for a win on the field. So 24-7 at half, Coach, and you get it start second half, and that's always a good feeling. End up at your own 35, so good field position to start it, but a 3-and-out. And, in fact, in that third quarter, 3 3-and-outs and 1 sack given up that led to a safety. What happened?
Well, yeah, the other thing you look at is we get the ball first in the third quarter, and we end up winning the possession time game, which a lot of times doesn't mean a lot, I understand, but we get the ball first in the third quarter, and they end up having it 9 minutes something, and we end up having just a few minutes. So just was not a good third quarter for us. We were not in sync. We at times kept Tahlequah really off balance at times, and we didn't keep them off balance. They were pretty zeroed into what we're doing. Their defensive line did a good job of getting after us. Where there's several times where we would run the ball and get 1 or 2 yards, and we need to get 4 or 5, and that really changes the complexion of things when you don't get those 3 or 4 or 5 yards, and instead you get 1 or 2. And then a couple times we did throw it, we got sacked, and so we were just really out of sorts, and finally end up settling down a little bit and put together some nice drives. But boy, third quarter was rough.
Their D-line played hard. I told you at the break, it looked like they were doing a lot of twists and stunts. Of course, you've seen that. Credit Central Oak. Again, I don't have any doubt that stop before the break was a big lift to them. They come out. How good is it to go through those things and a lot to look at on film and still be able to come out on top?
Well, there became a point there where you could tell the crowd didn't feel real good, our coaching staff didn't feel real good, and you could almost feel like it was slipping away. And so defensively and offensively, we made some big plays and did some couple huge things, made a couple huge plays to get us back into the game and back into the rhythm of things. And that was really kind of the first adversity we had faced this year.
Well, and I'll tell you, a huge play in there is they get the ball at their own 41. They had a first down, and they're moving it, and they go for it on fourth down. Bryant Sanchez comes off the edge. That's a big fourth down stop for your defense.
It's unbelievable play, and hopefully our goal line short yardage mentality from last year is carried over this year because, and that's something our coaches do a really good job of coaching. Players do a good job of playing, but we have made some huge stops here the last year and a half on third down and fourth and short, and boy, when you can do that, that really changes momentum.
Couple things that Central Oak maybe would reconsider. They get it down there. You get a stop on third and goal from the 2, push them back to the 3. They kick a field goal, and then they score a touchdown, and they kicked it instead of go for 2 to get within 11. Were you surprised they didn't go for more there?
Yeah, a little bit. Again, you're surprised that they did an onside kick as well.
Right.
We're kind of ready for that, but I got a hard enough time figuring out how many points we've gotten and what we should do without worrying about them.
Well, the fourth down play was big and defensively, but offensively, you want to get to a point, and you needed to. It did probably better at Tahlequah, running the ball when you have to protect the lead, getting a rhythm. How do you feel with where you are with your running game right now?
Well, it's got to improve, obviously. We didn't do a lot of things in the Tahlequah game, and a lot of that was by design, but when we come back to the game 2 and you saw us have some success on zone read, which was a good thing. That's an important play for us. But there's some times where we just like to be able to zone block and hand the ball up inside and go get 4 or 5, and we didn't do those things. So there's some concerns there. We've got to be a lot more aggressive, a lot more physical up front to get some of those things done.
Well, you had the ball at your own 19 when you started a touchdown drive that would make it 31-12. And we heard the play there. Anthony Avanoa had the run.
There were a couple of good throws in there, and then the touchdown run. And my call there about slow playing it. Explain what your quarterback's looking for. You're not always going full speed to the edge, and there's a pitch key there, but explain what you want him to look for before he really turns it on as opposed to set it up.
Well, once he gets the ball pulled, once the ball's out on the edge, then he has to attack the support player, and it kind of depends on the alignment of the support player and how he attacks him. And if his shoulders are somewhat square, then he's got to run at the inside shoulder and make that guy make a decision. And Anthony, that's something that, full speed, he made a nice quick cut. It was he was not indecisive with it. And, obviously there's times when we want him to go out, attack that guy and get it pitched. But as long as the guy's shoulder square and you run at his inside shoulder, sooner or later he's going to have to make a decision. And like I said, Anthony made a really nice quick decision and got vertical.
Well, 31-12, and still they would not go away. They had a really nice drive. Started at their own 22, 9 plays, 78 yards. The good news, it took about 4 minutes off the clock, but again, 31-12, your defense you've given up some big plays and those things. You've had some timely stops and takeaways, but I'm sure in that situation you'd love to see to get the ball right back to your offense.
Well, no doubt. And, again, you got to give UCO a lot of credit. Boy, they had a lot of fight in them and put together some nice things. Did a lot of different things than they'd done the week before, and that's part of playing. That's part of playing defense. You have to be prepared for everything and all the unusual formations and all those type of things. So, their coach is a really good young football coach, and he will do a good job with them. There's no question about that.
Yeah, to his credit, with his success at junior college, he has not gone that route. He understands. He was a former player there about how to build that 4-year program, and I think it's a good hire for them. You end up having to settle for a field goal. You were expecting the onside. John Brown's back there 20 yards by himself. And without having a return set up, still a 45-yard return. That's a pretty big play for that field position.
Oh, it was an unbelievable play. And we were concerned they were going to onside or try to chip it over and get on it. And so we got our hands team out there, and then we told our hands team if it ends up getting kicked deep, then you got to get engaged with somebody right away. And it had a couple of guys that did a pretty good job of getting locked up on somebody, which gave him a little time. And holy smokes,
that's all he needs.
That's all he needs this time. And then next thing you know, he's at midfield.
Yeah, it was spectacular and good field position. You do have to settle for a field goal, but to take 4.5 minutes off the clock is pretty valuable.
Yeah, no doubt. And, we, kind of start paying attention to your play calling and make sure we keep the ball, the clock running and don't be in a hurry to call plays and those type of things. So, there's still too much time, and you don't feel comfortable yet, but we did a good job of managing the clock at the end, I thought.
You were 7 of 14 on third downs. Is that a good percentage by your standards?
Yeah, it depends on third and what,
Right.
If it's third and long, it's pretty good. If it's third and short, it's not. But, overall, we weren't as good as we were the week before. Again, I think a lot to do with us not playing as good as we wanted to offensively. It was more first down than it was third down. And we've got to put ourselves in a better position. And again, keeping them off balance would have helped us tremendously. But 7 of 14 is not terrible.
The play that obviously seals it, you're up 34-19. They throw it deep. Arias Herring backtracks, get a nice over the shoulder interception. Seems like you have some depth out there at corner. Devontae Bosby's made some sacks, but Arias made the big play down in Florence, and good play for you there. You want to see those guys catch the ball. I know you felt a couple were dropped the other night.
Yeah, and a lot of them would like to have that chance back, but you can't get it back. And Arias I thought it was a really good catch. And how those defensive guys are. They all want a chance to play offense. So there's their chance. So they turn into an offensive player pretty quick. So it's fun to watch. That's exactly why I said I'd like to see Keeson Sterry get a few more steps so he could show us his receiver ability. But good play by the defense.
How do you feel with your secondary? You've seen different type teams. Deaton Italiqua was going to throw it this quarterback, more of a dual threat guy. How do you feel with the play of your secondary after 2 games?
Well, I think Coach Cullen and Coach Weimer's, Coach Cullen coaches our safeties and Coach Weimer's coaches our corners. I think that, without having Chaz Smith, we're not quite as deep at safety as we'd like to be. But hopefully we're going to get him back soon. This week, next week, I don't know. But we're going to get him back soon, and he's got a lot of game experience under his belt. So he'll help us a lot when we get him back. But, on defense, it's number of plays. You got to be careful, and if they get too many plays, then you can see them start dragging a little bit at the end. And obviously that gets better as the year goes. But I think overall, Coach Wiemers is happy with the depth we have at corner, and our safety play has been good, and obviously Keyston Terry was a nice addition with our safeties.
Those guys, Devontae Bosby's had a sack in each game. Brian Sanchez had that fourth down play. In your alignment, there are times you have to dial up pressure from the edge, but a guy like Brian Sanchez seems like the perfect player to do that with.
He really is. He's a guy, you saw him the week before at Tahlequah make an interception 30 yards down the field, and then we turn around and makes a big, huge stop on fourth down. So got some good players there. They're good football players. It's important to them. And, Bryant's just one of those guys that just continues to make plays. And the now it's time for Jason Pete. He needs to go get an interception and take it back to the house like he did last year against in an Arrowhead game. But overall, I think our coaches are pretty pleased. There's obviously room for improvement, but we've got a good group to work with back there.
You had 3 sacks, and this was, a different kind of quarterback than you faced the week before. It's different nowadays because so many guys are in the shotgun getting rid of the ball. How do you feel with your pass rush right now?
Well, better than the week before, and again, he didn't get rid of it quite as quick as a quarterback at Tahlequah, so that makes it a little bit easier. But defensive line, Coach Helwig talked about they're playing okay. We need to be a little bit more physical and control gaps better a little bit. But when we know it's pass and we can peel our ears back and go, we've got some good pass rushers, and there's several of them. So we feel pretty good about that group.
34-19, Gorillas win it over Central Oak to go 2-0, stayed number 1 in the polls that came out today, Division II Coaches Poll. There was some shakeup with some losses, but that in the end does not guarantee anything, but regardless, still good to be 2-0. We'll take our final break, come back with Coach Beck at Chatters, and we'll talk about Southwest Baptist. That and more when we return.
Here's the snap. Chevy runs deep. And the pass. Holy moly. Chevy Silverado with a big catch.
Chevy Cruz blocking the competition. And look at Silverado go.
Chevy outperforming everyone.
Chevy at the 10, the 5, touchdown. Moley Automotive.
Moley Chevrolet GMC of Pittsburgh wins the game. And all fans get up to $8,000 off all remaining 2012s in stock.
Moley Chevy GMC of Pittsburgh, your 4-state Chevy Buick GMC dealer. Proud supporter of Pitt State Gorilla Football.
Moley Automotive. Best price always.
Gorilla fans, for the best Pittsburgh State football coverage, tune it to KSN 16, your hometown sports. I'm Eric Kinnett. We'll have those highlights after every Pitt State game, and during the week, we'll have the latest news and preview the next opponent. And don't forget about the Tim Beck television show every Sunday night on KSN after the evening news. So if you love Pitt State football, check us out. KSN 16, your hometown sports with Eric Kinnett.
Because your life matters, Via Christi Heart Center in Pittsburgh has made major investments to install the latest heart imaging technology, which can mean faster diagnosis and more effective treatment for a variety of heart-related conditions. Because we understand that when we're taking care of your heart, nothing is more important. Via Christi Heart Center, because your life matters.
860 AM KKOW.
Welcome back live to Chatters Restaurant and Bar in Pittsburgh. Eddie Lomchek along with Pitt State head football coach Tim Beck. Draw one final name there, Coach. We'll give away $25. Same thing, dining only, includes drinks, expires at the calendar year. This one to Chatters and the House of Wings right here. Henry Busick, come on down and claim your prize. It would be a cold day in the pit of Hades if nobody from that table won here. So that's good. Loyalty pays off. Coach, over to Bolivar this week, and SBU back in the league. Have not played them since their last year in the league in football in 07. They've been a little more consistent. I know last year they were off to a 6-1 start, lost 4 games to end it against MIAA teams. They're 0-2, similar games for them so far. What stands out to you first about them?
Well, first thing stands out is you look at their roster, and they've got guys from all over the United States, and a lot of transfers, and they do a good job of recruiting. There are some players from everywhere, and they've got some good players. I'll tell you that right now. They're more athletic than they used to be when we played them, and they run to the ball extremely well. They are 0-2, but they're a very, very dangerous team because they can really do some things and probably stand out a little bit more on defense. But good-looking group.
Offensively, they're running it for only about 80 yards a game right now. Their quarterback 6'6", 205, and not a runner. What appears to be their philosophy on offense?
Yeah, they're going to throw it a lot, and they're going to, they're not going to play with the tight end very much. If they do, it won't be very much, and it's mainly 3 or 4 receivers at a time most of the time, and they're going to flip it around, and they've got a decent back that can do some things. You got to be careful with him. But for the most part, you can plan on them being in 2x2 or 3x1 and throwing it all over the yard.
Yeah, and is he a big arm guy, 6'6"? Is he, or is it a quick controlled passing game?
As you look at him on video, he doesn't look to be 6'6". That's the first thing. And if he is, then a lot of those other guys are pretty big too. That's the other thing about it. But he's really good at times, and then he's had some moments where he wasn't so good. Now, the thing that they've probably had a little bit of trouble with is people seem to get some pressure on him, and he's been hit a lot the first couple of games. So, and that's sometimes that happens when you've got a transfer offensive lineman or new offensive lineman. That can happen, and sometimes every game you get a little bit better, but early on it can be tough at times.
Yeah, for as much as they throw it, they've given up 10 sacks. He has 5 picks to 2 touchdowns. You mentioned defensively run to the ball well. Do they line up like anybody that you've seen yet?
They line up like the Gorillas do. They look exactly like we do on some things. Play a 4-man front. They're another team that they go visit TCU and do some of the same things that they do at TCU. So we'll be somewhat familiar with what they do. They've got a couple linebackers that get around to the ball. They move a lot. I mean, their defensive ends aren't real big, but boy, they move a lot and can slant a lot and cause you some problems. So they're not afraid to get in your face and play press coverage on the edges. And like I said, they've got some athletes that can do some things, and they can cause you some problems.
Yeah, their roster is amazing. Dallas, Houston, Charlotte, and on it goes. California kids. When you say that, and they'll throw it 60 times if they have to, obviously, to feel if that'll help them win the game. How much can your offense help your defense if you can't get into a rhythm with that running game?
Well, if we get into a rhythm and get to roll and give our defense a break every once in a while and go put points on the board, that's the main thing. Go do what we're supposed to do. And defensively, this is a game that we feel like that our defense should match up with them fairly well. Because of our secondary play, and hopefully our defensive line will be able to go put pressure on him.
You're playing a team, and the next 2 for that matter, you have to go one at a time, but you're going to be favorites. Your October is going to be very challenging after a bye. What needs to be the mindset of your team right now?
Well, the mindset is exactly what we talked about in the locker room after the game, and that's preparation's got to be the same on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. It doesn't matter who you're playing or where you're playing or when. It's got to be exactly the same. And bottom line is we have to practice better this week than we did last week. And we didn't practice good at times. And again, part of it might have been my fault on going Tuesday morning, and that's just not a normal thing. But just felt like with the heat that we needed to do that, and then come back on Wednesday, and it was really, really hot. We didn't handle as well as we needed to, and so we'll be out in the afternoon every day. It'll be warm again this week, but we've got to handle it, and we're going to play it in the afternoon on Saturday. So there you go.
And what's it like playing a team or prepping for them that you haven't played in 5 years?
Well, it's different. A lot of people, none of our guys have ever been there, and some of our coaches haven't been there, and it'll be different. Number one, because it's a grass field, not turf. We don't see
the
that
only one in the
much.
league. I think
it's the only one, and but they have always done a tremendous job of keeping it nice and short and fast, and that's a good thing. And they do a great job of keeping it really nice, and it's a neat place to play. I think that some people will say, well, it doesn't have the atmosphere that we have. Well, no, it doesn't. But they do a really nice job and very, very professional. All their staff has always been very courteous, and they try to do everything they can to make you feel at home a little bit. So, we're looking forward to going over there and playing.
It's only about an hour 40. Hopefully a good turnout for Gorilla Nation. Kickoff 1 o'clock from Plaster Field. Our pregame coverage will begin at noon. That'll do it for us this week on the Coach Tim Beck Show. Thanks to Ahmad and the staff at Chatters, Coach Beck for his time. CBS News is next, followed by Chiefs Kingdom. Thanks for listening, and have a good Monday night.
You've been listening to the Coach Tim Beck Show.
3 receivers in the pattern. Avenel will check it off. Wide open, Bryson Wilson hurdles a man at the 40. Down the sideline at the 30. Cuts inside the 20. The 10, the 5. Touchdown.